So I just wanted to start off by saying that you were not put on this earth to be as small as possible, as quiet as possible, as accommodating as possible, as sweet and considerate as possible. Although those are really awesome, great qualities, you were not put on this earth to take up as little space as you possibly can. You're allowed to take up space. You do not exist solely for the purpose of making other people comfortable and happy. You can step into your power. It's okay. Greetings. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, greetings, hi. If not, thank you for coming back. I know I haven't been on for a long time, but the reason is self-sabotage and a myriad of other things that we'll discuss in the video. But I thought it would make a very fitting topic for the YouTube video to discuss the harder things such as self-sabotage, because those things force a mirror to us in our lives, and we kind of have to look at ourselves differently in the role we're playing in our own lack of success, dare I say. As per usual, I have my notes on the side here, so if you see me looking off to the side, you know why. I also haven't practiced in a while, so please will you forgive me. So nice to see so many new subscribers. Thank you guys for subscribing, even though I haven't posted in forever. Yeah, so we'll just get started. I don't know why I'm nervous. So let's define self-sabotage and explain it in terms of what I see it as, based on my own opinion and research. Self-sabotage is chronic self-neglect. It's chronic self-betrayal. It is a self-induced handicap. For our purposes, I will be defining self-sabotage as a complex set of internal belief systems that essentially force us to get in our own way. That is to say, self-sabotage and our internal dialogue forces us to choose behaviors and patterns consistently that feel good in the short term but do not benefit anybody, yourself included, in the long term. Now, a disclaimer, okay, I'm going to tell a very tough story. I might cry. I think it's the cringiest thing, okay? When people cry on the internet, I'm like, no, babes, no, don't do that. But that's okay, that's very judgy of me. I might cry and I risk being cringy and foolish and gross online, so that if I can help even one person, then that's totally fine. All right, so I can definitely say I have experienced my most difficult year, the most difficult year of my life this year. I've gone through the most pain I've ever gone through this year, and I'm very grateful for what I've gone through, because I've grown the most from this situation. And in true traumatic situation style, I did dye my hair blonde, so you know, your girl was going through it. I was really going through it, and because I was going through it, I thought that I was not worthy to come onto my own YouTube channel and to share that story while I was still going through it. I thought that I had to be fully healed first in order to come to you and sort of teach and explain, but that's not the case. It's not the case at all. I should have come to you even when it was difficult, even when it was painful, that you can see that life is not all sunshine and roses and a nice little video that's wrapped up in a bow and has nice conclusions at the end. That's not the case. I learned that in this life you have to show up authentically, and you have to show up even when it's uncomfortable, and even when you risk seeming very foolish and difficult and weird. It's okay, you know, it is okay to show up as you are. And I wish I had shown up as I was then, but I'm showing up as I am now in order to sort of help you and guide you if 1 or 2 or 3 people are going through what I've gone through. Guys, it is a universal experience that one titty is bigger than the other, hey? Like one titty. This titty is massive. Just does what it wants. It's living its best life. Okay, back. Self-sabotage is not only a self-neglect issue, it's a self-worth issue. It's not knowing what you're worth and not stepping into that power. It's being afraid of not only failure, but it's being afraid of success. Self-sabotage stems from many things, but even perfectionism, is self-sabotage. So understanding those little nuances of self-sabotage and how it shows up in your life is really, really important. This year, I definitely neglected some of my own needs and wants because I was afraid. I was also starting my first big girl job, working full time. I work in TV, so the hours are nuts as well, and I got burnt out, etc. But the point is that I was taking care of everyone and everything except myself. I did not follow that inner compass. I pushed it down, ignored it, and I knew when I was doing it. There were times where I knew what I was doing when I was doing it, and I still didn't stop. But it took a very tragic and difficult event in my life for me to realize that at the end of the day, it's my life and I'm 100% responsible for what's happening here. Yes, there are things I'm not in control of, but those 1 or 2 or 3 things I can control, I chose not to do. And it was painful, but I get it now. I have never loved myself more than I do now. I've never seen myself more clearly than I do now. I have never enjoyed the woman in the mirror as much as I do now. I have never cared so little about what other people think of me as I do now. It's very freeing. Alright, so some of you who've been here from the beginning know that I originally called this channel the Daddy Issues Club before it transformed into more of what it is now. At the beginning of this year, I started to heal that relationship with my father, and I started to heal my father wound. And so when that wound started to heal, it was much easier to come on the channel and start giving you guys advice how to heal, how to do this, how to do that, because I wasn't put to the test regarding some of the advice I was giving you. The truth is, not all the answers are here on YouTube. They're not on your Instagram. They're not on your TikTok. They're inside of you. Okay? And so if you're waiting for like the big thing, the big inspiration, that's not going to come. And it shouldn't take something as tragic. It was what happened in my life to have that switch happen. You know what I'm saying? You need to choose to take control. You need to choose. You need to choose that you're going to be the one choosing, not your subconscious mind choosing, because your subconscious mind is choosing most of the time anyway. I digress. So a few months ago, my dad died. He passed away. And his death taught me everything I need to know about the woman I am and the woman I want to become. I forgot that I had a voice. For a long time, I just forgot that I had a voice. And I never used it. And I wasn't confident that what I was saying was coming through, even if it was. For the first time in my life, I'm okay to just sit in myself and where I'm at and how I am, and it's very freeing. And that's so far the gift in his death, even though it's hard all of the time. I'm not saying this to have you feel sorry for me or anything, but I am saying this that's not what it should take for you to get to a place where you love yourself enough. My allegiance now is to the voice within. Isn't that so beautiful? That actually comes from a book I read. It's called Untamed by Glennon Doyle. In fact, let me get the quote for you guys. I love it. Give me a second. Okay. Love is the opposite of control. Love demands trust. I love myself now. Self-love means that I have a relationship with myself built on trust and loyalty. I trust myself to have my own back. So my allegiance is to the voice within. I'll abandon everybody else's expectations of me before I'll abandon myself. I'll disappoint everyone else before I'll disappoint myself. I'll forsake all others before I'll forsake myself. Me and myself, we are till death do us part. What the world needs now is more women who have quit fearing themselves and started trusting themselves. What the world needs now is masses of women who are entirely out of control. Yes, Glennon, that is what the world needs. Okay, so yeah, that's the story. Okay, so some tips on how to heal self-sabotage. Okay, self-awareness. Great, everyone always says that, but what does that mean? For me, personally, self-awareness means getting out of your head and into your body. Your body is giving you all the signals. Like, your mind is more of a mumbo jumbo place if you're anything like me. So what I have learned is to get out of my head and into my body. You know how I always talk about like the body keeps the score, etc. I had still have, but I had this giant ovarian cyst situation going on, growing, but it was purely from the stress of not taking care of myself, but also of traumas that I hadn't dealt with. We talked about this in therapy, and of putting everyone else's needs and breadwinning and taking care of everything else before taking care of myself. So, self-awareness is not just about what your thoughts are, even though it's important to be aware of your thoughts and how those are manifesting in your life, but also how those thoughts are affecting your body. Your body is telling you what you need to know. At first I thought, ovarian cyst, genetic, all women go through it. Okay, partially true. You know, life is about accepting some truths mixed with other truths. Many things can be true at once. However, I also got this thing purely because I was stressed out. I was really struggling as I was healing that relationship with my dad on how much time do I give to that situation versus how much time do I give to my home situation and building a life with my partner, and how much time I'm giving to work. And that was all my time. None of my time was spent on how do I feel? What do I want? What is my plan? Step number 1 was self-awareness, but in a sense of not just a meditation and aware of what thoughts are going through your mind, but rather what is going on in your body. How is your body protesting against your lack of action? Okay, and that leads us to number 2. Number 2 is action and execution. The best way to relieve anxiety, to relieve overthinking, to relieve any sort of negative looping self-talk is simply to take action. Action relieves anxiety. When your brain knows that you're sort of taking steps, even if those steps are not maybe the best steps or the most accurate, when your brain knows that you are taking steps in order to change things, it starts to rewire itself. So if you start acting in a way you've never acted before, your brain's like, oh, okay, we're fixing this, okay? And so part of me making this video was in order to relieve the anxiety of not having any growth on my YouTube channel, this and that, I take action. I shoot a video. Step 3 is understanding that self-authorship is a real thing. You can write your own story. Self-authorship is how do I put on paper what I want my life to look like if everything was in my control. In one of my favorite movies ever, Don't laugh, just deal with it. It's called Riding in Cars with Boys. I love Drew Barrymore. She says that all life is 4 or 5 really big things that change everything. And if you think about that, that's true. You get a few very big, very dramatic, very tragic, I am not in control things that will change the course of your life forever, that you will never ever be prepared for. You, no matter how you try, how much you try, no matter how much meditation, exercise, and this you do, there are certain things that you will never ever be ready for. That is actually quite a relief. But the rest of that, you can control. So other than those 4 or 5 big, life-changing, uncontrollable, this is what's happening things, you can write your own story by how you react to those things, but by how you choose yourself, how you choose to show up, and by being okay when you slip and fall and make mistakes in that regard, right? Tip number 4 is to do some shadow work. Get very in touch with your dark sides. Something about her, like there are parts of myself that I feel that I have had to hide my whole life. How I express myself, my sexuality, this and that. How does that be? How can you be okay with the darker parts of yourself? And self-sabotage is part of the shadow. So you need to do that shadow work, and you need to be okay with the darker parts of yourself, because those darker parts are a tool. Visualization and execution. Is that 4 or 5? 5 maybe. So visualizing the person you want to become, and then trying to not trying. There is no trying. There's just execution in this life. Visualization helps you to picture the person you want to become, but you need to visualize the steps that you're taking to become that person in order to almost fake motivate your brain into fulfilling those actions, right? So before this video, I visualized how I was going to sit here, maybe what I was going to wear, this very comfortable little bodysuit thing, and I practiced a little bit, like what I was going to say, like the script, etc. So visualizing helps you to execute. And those are my tips. They maybe not as practical as I usually give, because I've come with a roundabout story. But Bob's your uncle. We're done. And if you got to the end of the video, please comment your favorite emojis. I am in love with the little blue whale right now. Boop. It's so cute. The tail. Okay, so little whale. There's also a train on WhatsApp. So a train is good. Maybe try little whale, train, little whale, or 3 little whales. Whichever emojis you like. That's just what I'm vibing with. Thank you.